Hey, you guys. I've shared this with you guys to a certain extent, but I was raised in a very constrictive household. So there were a lot of things that weren't discussed, and my parents were just raising us with the mimicking the way that they were raised. So there weren't things discussed with them, and they had no idea of certain things. But in that energy, there were a lot of things that weren't discussed. As far as spirituality, I've talked about that. As far as, just deeper things that I would have preferred, them talk about. A few years ago, I had this major epiphany about the shell that we come here in, right? Is not important. The soul is important. So I went through a brief phase because I spoke about also how my karmic relationship, he ascended to consciousness prior to me. And so when it came to African spirituality, he really was studying and looking into Kemetic history and things like that. And so he introduced me to a lot of different things, and grateful because in that yeah. Um, but so like I was saying, so as far as I having that energy of being pro-black, I was considering myself, I did align with, and I'm still pro, but just in a different way. Okay. But I was pro-black, when it came to a lot of things, with everything, within our culture, for those melanated people who watch my videos. And so in this epiphany just coming through, as far as our souls being important, this coming through not just with race but with sexuality. I never was a person that was against homosexuality. It was something that, because I'm not a homosexual, or I don't identify with being a homosexual, I guess it's a better way to say it. Either way, tomato, tomato. I didn't have a full understanding with stuff, but there were so many people that I had admired since I was a little girl that were homosexual. And it seemed like when I was a little girl, I had crushes on men who later came out as being homosexual, right? And I grew up in the 80s, so you do the math, okay? I was born in 1980. So in this epiphany, realizing that, or just this major clarifications, whatever, aha moment, if you will, of saying none of this is important. Okay, how we operate as far as our lifestyles and how we treat people, all of that stuff is different than our souls, right? If that makes sense. Like, our souls are what matter. And how we treat people, how we love people, how we engage with people, how we authentically show up in the world, how we're pretending, not how we're showing up behind a false image. It's about how you truly, truly are. And that's why how come a lot of times, if you ever notice that when you meet people that are like, into the goth look, or people who are really tatted up, or even, people who are identified as homosexuals, they are the most kindest people ever. It's the people that people count out, the underdogs, if you will, that will treat you the best authentically. The people who are trying to show up in the world or in this image of being indoctrinated in a falseness, false information, all the stuff that was given to us that really don't make sense. Don't make sense. Those are the people who will judge you, make you uncomfortable. They are the karmics in our lives. And it's really important that you allow people to come into your energy and to embrace you and to engage with these people, not these people like that, but I'm just saying with different types of people than what you're used to. And stop looking at a lot of people being this ready. They call themselves spiritual, but they're judging people based on their race. And I'm not saying that there aren't people who are evil that are of certain races, but you can damn sure bet your bottom dollar there are evil people in every ethnicity, every culture, and every single race. It is very simple minded to put barriers around or against people who don't look like you. You limit your experiences in life by being that conditioned, that small, that judgmental. It doesn't serve you no good to be in that energy. I remember I went through, and it wasn't like this energy of saying, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Because it was almost like my subconscious always knew better. But like before that epiphany that happened, I wasn't super open to experiences. And I noticed like in the last, sorry, y'all, my eyes. I say since 2021 or 2020 rather, I was realizing what spirit was doing. It was putting me in environments and putting me around people who I wasn't necessarily comfortable with, because in my life, where I raised my experiences in life, it was always my people, and Hispanics. And so then in 2020, it was just my experiences changed. I noticed with the universe, and I shared this with some people too. I said, I'm noticing that I'm getting an influx of men who are of different races outside of being Hispanic and Black who are showing interest in me. And I'm, what I'm saying? And it was something like, oh, wow, this is definitely something new. So, yeah. But it's very important to tap into your soul. When you let your soul, your heart, you align with that love energy within you, you will see things from a bird's eye view. You will see things completely different. Be open and don't be limited. What type of experiences in life are you really going to have if you are coming from a limited space? That's food for thought for y'all, okay? I love y'all.